Welcome to SBR Forum Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. This is Into the Weekend with Bet DSI, the call we do every week with Brent, the headlines manager at DSI Sportsbook, where we take a look ahead to the upcoming weekend's major sports betting events. Right now it is March 14th, so we're looking ahead to the end of the conference championships, and Selection Sunday is coming up, so we don't have many specific games to talk about. The conference championships are going on right now, so we don't even know what the matchups are going to be on Friday and Saturday. We do have a bunch of interesting injuries, though, in the NBA. We'll see what Brent has to say about that. Brent, thanks for being with us once again.
It's good to be on, Peter.
All right, let's talk about the conference tournaments in college basketball first. Do you get a lot of sharp action on those?
Well, in terms of the games, like individual games,
yeah.
it's basically a game-by-game basis. I mean, we see sharp action on some games, other games we don't. And the thing is, you've got, we have so many customers that you've got guys who are really sharp on totals, and they're basically exclusively playing totals. We have other guys who are really sharp on halves. They'll play first halves and second halves. We even got some sharp stuff on futures that we can talk about if you'd like. So, I mean, even though it's tournament time in terms of the sharps, it's really no different than any other game. If they see value, they're going to play it, of course.
Okay, so you don't get higher action necessarily from sharps or from the public. It's just standard college basketball games.
We'll get more public action than we normally would
okay.
from the because of the tournament time, but the sharps, again, they're disciplined. That's why they're sharps.
Okay. Yes, indeed. All right. So you said that you did get some sharp action on some futures odds on the conference tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, we've got sharp guys who will play. Like I said, they're just looking for value. And again, when you talk about sharp action in conferences, usually you're talking about guys who are getting decent prices. A typical public play would be something like Louisville in the Big East, which we've got a lot of action on, plus 140. We actually also had a lot of action on Georgetown. But the sharp action we did take was like in the ACC, for example. We got Virginia plus 1,100. They were a very sharp play. Big 12, Kansas State plus 550 was sharp. Big 10, that had a small play on Wisconsin at the price of plus 900. I guess that was nice. And Ohio State plus 425, some sharp action there. Pac-12, California was a surprising play, plus 650, and the Mountain West, Colorado State plus 500. So, I mean, you typically get your public guys coming in on the Louisvilles and the Dukes and things of that nature. Sharp guys will take the bigger prices like the teams I touched on just now, Peter.
Okay, I think the Duke, though, is, since they got Ryan Kelly back, I think they might be a little bit undervalued. I mean, I don't think Virginia's a good bet at all at plus 1,100. Did any sharp guys come in on Duke?
No, not at all. I mean, Duke was only plus 105, so there's not a whole lot of value there.
I don't know. There can be, though. Maybe Duke should have been a 60% favorite to win the ACC. I think they're going to be a good bet in the tournament as well. We'll see. All right, and then in the NBA, we've had a bunch of injuries, high-profile players, Carmelo Anthony, Kyrie Irving, and, of course, now Kobe Bryant. What's the impact on the lines when that happens?
Well, it depends on the player, of course. I mean, Irving's probably, you're starting around a 2.5-point difference, maybe. I mean, you look at stats such as, with Carmelo Anthony, the team, based on every 100 possessions, they score like 4.5 more points when he's on the court. Now, how does that reflect to a line? It's probably around 2.5 with Carmelo as well. I mean, they're a decent team and they're a deep team, so I think the Knicks line maybe won't vary as much, about 2.5, maybe 3 points. But the Kobe factor is probably, you're looking about 4.5 points. Wow. Again, when he's on the floor, they score 7.7 more points for every 100 possessions, so that gives you an idea how much he influences the team and how they score. Now, the defense as well, you don't factor that in there. But, I mean, you look at the game tomorrow, for example, Friday, it'll be Indiana and Lakers are playing each other. Indiana's favored by 9.5. Now, if Kobe was in there, what would the line be? You're probably looking at 5.5. So I think a Kobe factor of around 4.5 is a good starting point. And when these things come out, you just kind of throw up the new number and get a gauge of how people react. And you start there and go, you kind of adjust your opening numbers from there.
All right, and then before we let you go, the Denver Nuggets. I mean, a lot of times you see things like this, especially in the NBA, a team that's absolutely rolling, winning, and then they're covering every game as well. We saw this with the San Antonio Spurs for a couple of years recently. Are you getting repeated sharp action on Denver? Is that like a wave that the Sharps have been riding with you?
Well, it all depends on the price. I mean, we have seen the Sharps really came in on Denver earlier in the year. They kind of looked at them as really a strong team, especially at home. So we got really sharp money on Denver, mostly early in the year, and I think the public has obviously caught on to it. The fact that they've won 10 in a row obviously doesn't hurt.
Right, but like compare them to the Miami Heat, who are also on a big winning streak. Like Miami has been only 50-50 against the spread, and I would expect the public to be betting Miami very heavily, but I would expect the Sharps to be, basically staying off of Miami Heat games, and I'm assuming that's what you'll tell me is the case. But with the situation like Denver, I would actually think that the Sharps would be onto Denver being undervalued right now.
Yeah, like I said, though, I think they got onto Denver earlier in the season.
But they're not
were
still
kind
betting
of
them?
pretty quick on Denver, and Denver's, it was kind of sneaky how they came up, but the Sharps identified Denver early, that's for sure.
And they're not still on them, or are they still betting them game in and game out?
Not so much because, of course, the number's been adjusted a little bit. I mean, where Denver used to say in a situation where they used to be a 6-point favorite, now they're a 7-point favorite, so value's kind of lost there.
Well, but they're still covering. They're 9-0-1 in their last 10 games, Brent.
Right,
BTS.
but everything's got to end sometime, just like the Chicago Blackhawks.
All right, and then, of course, we have UFC 158 coming up this weekend. GSP, Nick Diaz, that's going to be a huge event, right?
Yeah, we'll get a ton of action on the UFC, especially the pay-per-view cards. I mean, we always do, but the main event, there's a lot of, George St. Pierre is always such a calm, cool, collected kind of guy, but it seems like Nick Diaz really has got under his skin, which may play to his advantage. We got St. Pierre as a minus 475 favorite. Diaz is plus 375, which seems to be a lot of value. I mean, 475, just a big price. And the thing, too, we don't touch on very often is we got a lot of sharp action on UFC as well. You got guys who really know these fighters well. And, I've seen sharp, people won't say a sharp guy will lay a heavy price, but I've seen sharps, this guy lay like minus 400 on one way, and he'll take plus 600 the other way. All over the map in terms of prices, but guys just beat us on MMA. There's some guys who are really, really sharp.
All right, well, thanks so much for another great call once again, Brent. We'll talk to you again next week.